Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're going to push pause on all the noise, the external achievements, and just take a slow breath to look inward.
Hmm.
We've pulled the single, really resonant source for today's deep dive. It's titled The Quiet Journey of Becoming.
And it is an intense exploration.
Yeah,
It really gets into the personal growth that happens far, far away from any kind of spotlight.
exactly.
So our mission today is really tailored for you, the listener. It's about understanding that real transformation, it rarely follows those dramatic arcs you see online.
Right, the big before and after posts.
Yeah, exactly. It happens in these stages that often feel, well, awkward or lonely, uncomfortable even. It's the unseen work.
So we're trying to guide you past that pressure of external expectations.
And toward a deep, sort of self-determined sense of authenticity.
I think we need to start by setting up this core tension that the source addresses right away. It's this constant internal struggle.
Between who people expect you to be.
Right. The
Right.
one who performs this unwavering strength or the one who pleases everyone.
Versus the version you're actually becoming, the truer self that you'll finally be proud of.
And that is a massive distinction.
It is. And the source immediately validates a feeling that I think so many of us are carrying right now. It acknowledges that sense of being in a, quote, heavy chapter.
That feeling of being disconnected or lost or just completely exhausted by the effort of pretending.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the first bit of wisdom that I think completely reframes it. If you are sitting in confusion or loneliness or facing this profound uncertainty, the source says this is not proof that something is wrong with you.
Precisely. It turns the conventional wisdom upside down. That internal turbulence, that uncomfortable feeling, it's offered up as proof that something real is happening inside you.
So the confusion isn't stagnation.
No. It's the engine of change revving up. It's the sign that your old operating system is failing because, well, you're installing a new one.
Let's unpack that shift because our culture rewards the visible. We celebrate these loud, public, quantifiable victories.
You get the promotion, you post the update, you show the transformation.
Yeah. But the source insists healing isn't loud and growth isn't dramatic.
It really challenges that dominant paradigm that progress has to be this visible performance. The source says we mistake the performance of progress for the actual structural work that's required for deep change.
And that work is done in silence.
In total silence, without an audience.
And for a lot of us, maybe the bravest action we take all week is just, quote, keeping going when no one sees your effort. We assume if it isn't visible, it doesn't count.
And that's the heart of this section. The source is asking you to shift your whole definition of success. If you're struggling, you deserve recognition for surviving things you never talk about.
For choosing yourself, even when your voice shakes.
Yes, the consistency of that effort when no one is watching, that is where the true revolution lies.
So what is that silent work then? The source is very specific here. It says these actions aren't small things. It calls them revolutions.
Yeah, and they should be celebrated with the same weight as some big public achievement. They list some really powerful examples of these invisible victories.
Okay, like what?
Well, think about this. The boundary you finally set with that person who drains you.
Oh, that's a big one.
Huge. Or the apology you owed yourself for years of self-criticism. The silence you walked away from, refusing to perform anymore.
The difficult habits you're trying to build, even if you keep slipping up on a Tuesday.
For sure. And maybe the most profound one.
The emotions you're finally allowing yourself to feel.
Exactly. Instead of just suppressing them, choosing to acknowledge pain or fear, that's a genuine act of strength. It's choosing honesty over the performance of strength.
So if you're picking yourself up when it felt impossible, or you're choosing the difficult truth, those are the building blocks.
They're the scaffolding for the person you are becoming.
That's a great metaphor.
Yeah.
But let's add some friction here, because when you're in the middle of building that scaffolding, you look around and this common anxiety pops up. I still feel behind.
Mm-hmm. The world is speeding up, and we're measuring our quiet internal work against everyone else's public highlight reel. This is where the source offers its most powerful reframing tool. It just neutralizes that anxiety. It says, no one is ahead of you. No one is behind you.
Life is not a race, it's a rhythm.
It's a rhythm. We buy into this illusion of a shared timeline for success, but real growth demands that you honor your own unique chapter.
I agree that the rhythm idea is powerful, but let's be practical. How do you honor an internal rhythm when you have external obligations? A demanding job, a family, things that have a non-negotiable pace.
Right. You can't just meditate your way out of a deadline.
Exactly.
And the source doesn't dismiss that. It explains the necessity of different internal chapters to sustain that external effort. Sometimes a chapter requires stillness, not stalling, but processing.
Okay.
Sometimes it requires intense rebuilding. And other times it requires, and I love this phrase, disappearing so you can return different.
So it's not about giving up the race.
No, it's about knowing you need a pit stop to change your tires. Otherwise, you're just going to burn out.
That framing makes stillness feel like an active strategic choice, not a passive failure. So what are we supposed to be doing during this rebuilding time? The source says it's an unlearning process.
Yes, we are so deeply programmed to link our worth with external markers, money, success, perfect lives. We live in a hustle culture.
Totally.
So the first and most critical thing you're unlearning is that toxic belief that your worth is measured by productivity or perfection.
That productivity addiction is so ingrained. We feel guilty when we rest. We feel worthless when we aren't achieving. So how does the source suggest managing that feeling when you choose stillness?
The insight is in remembering one core truth. The love you deserve does not require a performance. We spend years performing for approval, and we forget what it feels like to just be. The unlearning is remembering your inherent worth isn't earned, it's intrinsic. That shapes your baseline from external validation to internal safety.
Which brings us to what often feels like the most painful part of this journey. The source says healing often feels like losing everything.
It does. Because if you start setting boundaries and unlearning these core beliefs, things might fall away. Friendships, careers, even your whole self-image.
And that loss is real. It has to be grieved.
But the key insight the source gives is crucial here. It says you are not losing everything. You are losing everything that was not meant to stay. This is the tough reality of clearing space.
And losing things that weren't meant to stay often means losing people, especially those who only like the performing version of you. How does the source prepare you for that grief, for that feeling of emptiness?
It reframes it completely. That feeling of being empty is actually clearing space. The feeling of being broken is actually rebuilding.
So it turns a crisis into a choice.
Exactly. It moves you from I am alone, my life is gone, to I am deliberately creating room for what truly belongs. That gives you agency over your own perceived devastation.
So, okay, we've established this process is internal, it's slow, it requires unlearning and often loss. Now, the source shifts to how we can actively guide this transformation. It asks us to become the person you needed.
This is such a powerful idea. It's like a form of time travel. Think back to your younger self, the one who felt scared, misunderstood, overlooked.
The one who had to be strong all the time.
Yes, that version of you is still watching. And they don't need the present you to be perfect. They need you just stay, to listen, and to finally choose them.
That choice, to advocate for that past vulnerable self, that's the real definition of self-trust.
And this moves self-love so far beyond the superficial idea of,
Bubble baths and quotes.
Right. The source insists self-love is defined by these actionable, difficult choices. It's about becoming someone you actually trust enough to follow.
That's the transformation right there, moving from aesthetic self-care to profound self-trust.
And the source breaks this down into 6 core mandates for authenticity. These are like the real architecture of internal change.
Okay, let's go through these pillars because they require some real courage. First, telling the truth when it's much easier to stay silent.
That is revolutionary in itself, isn't it? Because silence guarantees a temporary peace, but a long-term misalignment.
And the second pillar follows from that. Choosing peace over approval. This is that constant battle.
The discomfort of honesty over the temporary warmth of being liked.
Third is saying no without guilt. And fourth, resting without apology. Those two go right after the productivity and people-pleasing programming.
They dismantle the belief that you have to be useful to deserve space. The 5th pillar is triage, walking away from what wounds you.
Recognizing you can only truly save yourself.
Exactly. And the final culminating pillar is becoming someone you trust. That's the goal that binds them all together.
If we look at that list, especially choosing peace over approval, that can feel like burning bridges. It requires a huge shift in focus from how you are perceived to how you feel inside. That's so difficult.
It is. It challenges that whole cultural paradigm of armor building. We're told to toughen up, build stronger walls, put on a brave face, but the source suggests the exact opposite.
That the healing happens by becoming softer, not harder.
Softer, not harder.
How does this source define that new, softer strength in practical terms?
It means becoming more authentic and less defended. You heal by learning to accept and choose the parts of yourself you used to abandon out of fear or shame.
So the world doesn't need a stronger, more armored version of you.
No, it needs a more authentic one that is wise enough to walk away and soft enough to care for its own wounds. That vulnerability, the Source argues, is your new, lasting strength.
And if you commit to this quiet journey, no more chasing, no performing, no proving, no begging to be chosen, the Source offers this profound promise.
The promise is that you are worth fighting for, even when you're tired, even when you're misunderstood. And the people meant for you, the right connections, they will never require you to shrink yourself.
The ultimate reward for being authentic.
It's the reassurance that the right ones will meet you where your soul feels safe.
So what does this all mean for you right now? This quiet journey is the most important one you will ever take. It's about unlearning perfection, validating unseen effort.
And choosing the difficult, authentic path over the easy, performing one.
Your future requires a version of you that is braver, softer, and wiser. Not because you weren't enough before, but because you're now finally growing into who you always meant to be.
And this whole process culminates in this foundational internal declaration. It's one the Source encourages us to use to anchor the energy of this change. I am learning. I am growing. I am worthy. I am becoming.
Just saying that quietly or out loud is a commitment to the rhythm that is uniquely yours. And as we close this deep dive, I want to leave you with one last thought, a forward-looking provocation from the Source itself. A year from now, you'll thank yourself for not giving up today.
Think about that future self. They'll be living a life that finally feels like home. Not because it looks flawless on the outside, but because it feels peaceful and safe inside. So what specific invisible victory, that moment of rest, that crucial boundary, that choice to walk away, will you be most grateful for having chosen today? Hold on to that choice, because that is your quiet revolution.